Good evening, everyone. And Kozo is just battling to log in, but she will be joining us shortly, and then we will start. So if you can just be patient for 1 minute. Thank you. Right. Good evening, everyone. I think Ntokozo has joined us. Ntokozo? Okay, let's just wait 1 more minute, and she should be here. Right, good evening, everyone. I think we've got Ntokozo joining us, and she's been given hosting rights. So, Ntokozo, can you unmute yourself? We seem to be having technical hitches. So let's just wait one more minute and I'll try see what's happening.
Hi everyone.
Right, good evening, everyone. Okay, there's Ntokozo. So welcome, and Ntokozo, I'm handing over to you. Looking slightly stressed.
Guys, technical difficulties today on another level. I can breathe. At least I'm online. Everyone can hear me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. We tried to avoid them. However, it was unavoidable. But we're here today. Thank you so much for joining us and for your patience. I'd just like to welcome you all to another episode of the UKZN's College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science webinar series, where we meet our graduates. Please remember to switch off your mic as we have a discussion. Then switch your view to speaker view to be able to see who's speaking at the time. And then you are welcome to post any questions in the chat. However, we will have a question and answer session towards the end. Joining us today is Dr. Sanele Gamete. He's a strategic youth life and career coach, a best-selling author of 2 books, an educational motivational speaker, an employability practitioner, the founder of Make a Mark Africa Youth Development and nonprofit organization. He's also a radio personality, a lecturer at Varsity College and KZN Community Education and Training. He's also the founder and CEO of Ilada Holdings, a personal development and training company that's currently based in Durban. Sanele is passionate about youth, skills development, education, and academic success. This passion for education, educational speaking, and career coaching comes from his own personal experiences, where the lack of a mentor and career guidance meant he failed his first attempt at matric and went back to do it twice. But Sanele, being self-driven and hardworking, being a hardworking person, he believes it's possible because it's all doable. So today we'll have Sanele join us as we discuss the dynamics of parenting in academia, which I think is a topic that touches most people. So without any further ado, Sanele, may you please come on the screen and unmute yourself and just greet our audience.
Good afternoon, it's good evening, Ntokozo, Sally, and our beautiful and lovely audience. It is a special day, and thank you so much for having me, hosting me for this important discussion. I hope I'm audible enough for our audience.
So suddenly, I wish to know how old you are. I know we chatted, but we didn't get to chat as to how old you are. So many achievements.
I see that you were reading an old profile, which is nice that you were reading an old profile. I'm turning 33 on the 28th of December. So now everyone here has to buy me a gift. I can see that we are almost 40. So, and thank you so much for being late, because we're able to have almost 40 people joining while we're waiting for you. So I'm expecting almost 40 presents. So I'm getting 33 this year.
Okay, no, you for a young man, you've achieved quite a lot. I mean, your profile speaks to itself, and you're also a doctor, which is not an easy flight. So I think people who are joining us now, they want to know, who is this Sanele, this young doctor who's done so much, who's doing so much and continuing doing. Like, you're a lecturer, you have an NPO, you have a family. Who is Sanele?
So thanks, Swami. Basically, Sanele Kamede, he's a life and a career coach. So I do youth life coaching and career coaching. I'm a father, as you have indicated, husband, and I'm a lecturer. I did media, so I lecture media and journalism. And Sanele is an author of 4 published books, and Sanele is a public speaker as well, and he always engages using his work, and through his work using the media as well. So basically, Sanele is that young man who used to sell airtime at the University of KwaZulu-Natal back in the days when I was doing my first year up until, I think, 3rd year. So I'm that guy. If some may recognize the face, but find it difficult to actually recognize it, because it's been quite a while. And I can see in our midst we have my wife as well, who decided to just join separately, not next to me. She said she can't smile, so she will have to mute the video, so and allow me to be alone in this small screen.
You don't want to share the platform.
I did try. She said she's very expensive to speak. She doesn't speak for free. She just shared a video right now.
If she could just say, hi, hello. And the new baby. Hiya.
And the new baby.
Guys,
yeah.
Okay, so to our audience, I'm sure right now you're wondering why. Okay, anyone can speak on parenting. Anyone could have been a parent. The reason why we chose Dr. Sanele Kamede is because not only has he been a parent while he was still pursuing his studies, He has also managed to complete his degrees and has worked on different accolades besides being a parent. So I think his experience being a student, because he's a UKZN alumni, he went through the processes. He was at res, he got married, he had a baby, he had studies, he still had DP to stress about, he still had supervisors to worry about, and he still had parenting. I think we would be doing a disservice to our audience if we didn't include an aspect of looking at parenting, because in the past we've looked at how to network and related topics. But I think this one is also very important because we need to know what is it that it means to be a parent in academia. What are the disadvantages? What are the real challenges? And how can we survive that should we find ourselves in those situations? So I just want to find out from you, Sanele, since you've been like this has been your life. I think this topic it describes your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe what were the biggest challenges that you had being a parent, pursuing your degree, and staying on campus? So let's say from the moment you find out, I'm gonna be a father, what came through your mind? What were the biggest challenges that you faced?
Thanks, Dogozo. So basically, I became a parent in 2014 after getting married res, I will say. We got married at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Howard College campus. Our marriage was very cheap. It was 75 rands. I think it's still 75 rands even today. So it was very cheap, but the marriage ceremony was a little bit expensive, which came a little bit later. So basically, we got married there while I was doing my final year. I remember it was the 30th of May. I had 4 days before my June exams. And I was 23 to 24. My wife was 20 to 21 at the time. So we were very young, but we decided this is a good thing. And we're coming from a background where the whole thing of staying together, it is not allowed via a religion and our culture as well. It doesn't allow it. So it was necessary for us to ensure that we get married. So we get married at res. We decide at one of the residences called T. Willie, Tony Williams at Howard College. And one of the difficulties was that I don't think we realized that getting married would be followed by having a baby. And we were not ready because I remember the following year, my wife started her first year as well at Howard College, which means when she fell pregnant towards the end of 2013, which was around October, because she gave birth in June the following year, 2014, which she actually had her pregnancy, what do you call this thing when you are due, while she was writing her exam. So she wrote all her exams while she was like due, and she had to go. And on the last day of her exam, she had to go for labor. So she was in labor pains the entire 4 exams. So the issue was finances, was one of the biggest challenge. And beside finances, we didn't realize that UKZN will kick us out of res because married people are not allowed to stay together. Number 2, you're not allowed to have a baby at res. So immediately when we brought our daughter at Tower, Albert Luthuli residents. Some will relate. We were kicked out. We were told it is not allowed. So now we had to taste life. We had to find a place to stay. We had to take our daughter, Spesanele, to our mom, which she's 450 to 500 kilometers away from here. So we started to buy a toilet paper. Now we started to know how it feels to actually buy a toilet paper, because we had to find a place, and we quickly found a place in Chesterfield where we stayed. So those were some of the challenges. And of course, the studying part while we are parents was also a challenge as well.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. I honestly didn't know those policies, but it's good to know you can't have a baby address. Yeah, I think because I think the notion is because babies are a lot of work and they cry, they're unpredictable. So what if
Yes.
they cry is too much for the next person in the next room?
Yeah.
It could cause
And that facility is for studying, basically. You are not allowed to start a family. And the rest that I was in, even sharing was not allowed. So squatting was not allowed. As much as she was now registered 2014, but still, she was still regarded as a squatter. And luckily, I became the rest assistant, which means I got a bigger room, and I was able to squat her, even though it wasn't allowed.
Okay, we're not gonna get into things that might get us into legal trouble, Sanele. Okay. How you are final year students, you expecting a baby, your wife is writing the first year final exams. I remember my first year, it was horrible. I think I failed like 60% of my modules or something. But I'm here, I finished my degree, thank God. But it was so difficult without having the added pressure of now I have to look for a place, of now I have another mouth to feed, now I have to pay for accommodation. How did you manage balancing academia and these new financial costs that you had not budgeted for?
I think one of the things that was a drive for me was the fact that I was laughed at. I was told I'm going to fail. I was told even by my parents that this is nonsense, that the whole notion of trying to get married at a very young age. So that became a drive to try and prove to everyone that I can make this thing work. And I've made my marriage work. Today we were celebrating our 8th anniversary this year. We are 15 years in a relationship. So this is like a high school sweetheart kind of a notion. So that was mostly one of the things that was driving me. And also, I couldn't come back at home and say, I have failed, because they had already told me that this is messed up. You can't be trying to do all things together, because it's one of the things that I always encourage to many young people. Don't try to mix a lot of things. I was called a jack of all trades. I remember I recruited you to selling Justine products, a man selling cosmetics. So it was one of those things that kept me going financially. I started to run a business, which again, it got me into trouble as well, because running a tuck shop at rest was not allowed. And I had even a name outside the door of the tuck shop. It was called Kwankukuzia Kalelana, which was not allowed. which was not even allowed. And I remember Mr. Dludla, the head of housing at the time, came to shut down my shop. And I was like, you know what? By the way, I'm not selling anything illegal here. And I'm serving a lot of people who buy condoms at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I'm serving a lot of young people here. And fortunately, he gave me a job as an RA because he was so inspired by that journey as well. So those are some of the things. And of course, I think it's very important that when you find yourself in the situation where you now have a child, to try and find a support structure and start with friends from tertiary who are going to be your support structure. Don't try to hide the whole baby thing. Sometimes us as males, sometimes we try to walk as if nothing has happened, and then you Dogozos are going to just see because you are the one who are carrying the baby and you are the one who nurses the baby when is there. So try to try not to hide it and try to embrace the fact that you are having the baby and you are still studying. I always say it's possible, it's doable, only because I managed to do it, which means you can do it. But I'm not trying to push you to having a baby, getting married at while you are still doing your first degree, because that was my first degree. I did my first honors, my second honors, my master's, and my PhD, and it wasn't easy. I don't want to lie. I had to work like 3 jobs since I worked for the university when I was first year, second semester. I worked at the Sneden Theatre ever since then. And then I had to work like as a tutor, as an RA, as a mentor, and I had to work at Westville Prison, teaching there. So I had like 4 jobs while I'm doing my my degrees, all my degrees. And Ntokozo, I don't want to lie, I was blessed. I never wrote a sub in my life. I don't know what is right.
Yo, suddenly, how did you achieve that? No sub, a baby,
No sub.
yeah, guys.
I've never, yes.
4 jobs.
Yes, I've never failed in my life. I can even publicly share my academic record. The only thing that I'm not proud of in my academic record is the fact that I didn't pass and fly with flying colors. Of course, I had so many things going on, but I've never failed and I've always passed in record time. Even my PhD, I think it was almost done in 2.5 years. The PhD was done. It's just that I was interviewing celebrities, so they took their time allowing me to interview them. So I have always put in record time, but you need to embrace the fact that this is who you are. Now you have this child, especially if this child is probably not staying with you, or you now have to work, because there is that reality that you need to work. So try and make sure that your time management is up to the game, and you always use the consultation hours that lecturers put on their door. Try to engage with friends, try to help people who are supporting you while you are busy with this journey. And trust me, if we were able to do it with Mrs. Kamede, you guys can do it.
Okay. Can, not you are supposed to, guys. If you can wait until you finish your degree, then do that. If okay, now you have to baby before your degree, then then you can follow Sanele's advice in terms of how to survive now. Maybe like one question before we open the floor to the audience. What advice would you have given to yourself, your younger self, say before you even got married? Because you said by the time you got married, you didn't realize that a baby is a possibility.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so there's someone who's out there who's still saying, Ish, I can still have relations. I'm not going to get a baby potentially. or I can get married, is not thinking about the baby aspect. They're just thinking about the beauty of the relationship, the togetherness, and not thinking, okay, if we're together, a baby is a possibility. And once the baby is there, what advice would you give to yourself before you even got to a point where you were sort of cornered?
Yeah, I see, Togozo, that you want the audience to hate me because what I'm going to say as an advice to myself might come a little bit harsh to someone who is watching and listening to these. And I still want them to buy my books. So, but nonetheless, my sister, what I was going to say to myself, and I love the fact that you said, say it to yourself, not to anyone here. What I would have said to myself, Sanele, don't get into, be intentional about being in a relationship, be intentional about being at school, be intentional about almost everything that you are doing. Remember, I was studying, I was a father and a husband. I was running my business, my personal development and training company, while I was still running my shop, selling snacks, selling airtime on campus and all of that. So I would have said, be intentional about what you are doing. Most people, they get into relationships not even knowing what they are doing, which leads to the topic that we are now unfortunately talking about, which is parenting in academia. We do understand that there are people who have studied and finished and came back to continue, and now they are parents. And some, they start their first years while they are married. So we wouldn't have a problem speaking about parenting in academia, but I am stressing the fact that you don't have to get yourself into relationships when you don't have to. Be intentional about it. What I mean is that when you are in a relationship, you need to know why you are in a relationship and all the possibilities that comes with being in a relationship, which includes having a baby. Because in most cases, and I love the fact that we are adults here, so I'm not going to sugarcoat some of the things. In most cases, when you start dating, you then start being engaged sexually. And once you start engaged sexually, our mind will always lie to us and say, I will use a condom. And trust me, I'm not trying to be explicit. I think it's very necessary. We used it with my wife, and we felt like, you know what, we are now used to each other. I mean, what could happen? And then boom, a baby. And some culturally, they are not allowed to use these pills that you guys are using, or the injections that you use, contraceptives, before they get married. So you end up getting pregnant because you are afraid of using these contraceptives from hospitals, because you thinking it will spoil your fertility and stuff like that. So make sure that you get into relationships knowing what you are doing. And again, the issue of being intentional about what you are doing also comes to the issue of education. Let us take our education very serious, as much as we want to take serious as well. Usanele, unfortunately, didn't mute himself. So I think it's those are some of the things that I would have said. I would have said to myself, pause a little bit, Sanele. Don't rush, like what my dad said. But of course, we were like, you know what, let's do this, and we know what we are doing. And advice is very important. Seeking advice, I don't want to lie, guys. We started enjoying, and when we say enjoying, where you don't have much of problems in your marriage, when we were 5 years in marriage, and can you imagine? And we're not like fighting and all of that. Yes, that happens, but we were studying. I remember that we had to, after we were kicked out of rest, we had to find a place at Chesterfield, which means now we had to start renting. And then Esa is now here, our daughter. We had to swap her when I'm coming with the municipality bus. I will find my wife waiting for me at the waiting room, so that she can give the baby to me while she takes the same bus going back to campus, so that she can study and so that she can also work as well at the theater where I was working. And she will come back late. Sometimes she will cross night. And luckily I had an office when I was doing my master's where she will also cross night in that office at UKZN. So it was very challenging. So we didn't really enjoy, and we were kicked out from one flat to the next. And there was a time where we stayed in a car garage. And I remember my mom coming for my master's graduation, and she cried tears finding us living in a car garage and finding the fridge empty, yet it is on. And she was very devastated. So what I'm trying to say is the issue of parenting in academia is very important, and that we teach you how to sustain yourself. But we are more or less promoting that if it is possible for you to wait a little bit, focus on your studies, please try to do that. And also, once you find yourself in that situation, try to negotiate the situation with all parents. Try to man up, try to be a grown-up. Even though you are not married with Usanele, now you find yourself having a baby, try and sit down the two families. They will understand. They have to understand, so that you don't waste, I don't want to use the word waste your life, but you don't find yourself Untogozo now having 3 years that she has missed while when you are finishing your degree. So try to negotiate that so that you can both live your life, try to catch up while you find yourself in this situation.
Yo, Yazzie, thank you so much for this. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that are unspoken of, but they're okay all around us, because you always see one pregnant lady or the other, whether in June or in November. That's when the jacarandas fall, that's when you see the tummies. Yeah, thank you so much for that, because really we always talk about one side, academia, but then now if you are a parent in your academia, how do you balance? I think now I'll open up the floor and allow our audience to just, if they have any questions, if they can raise their hands, or if they are brave, they can come on the screen and ask the questions to Sanele directly or myself. Or if they have any comments or want to share any of their experiences, anyone is welcome.
Hi guys, it's Sanele here, the one that mistakenly opened the video.
You can open your video now. We want to see you.
Okay. All right.
I thought
Hi guys.
it was the
Sanele
Majola
Majo,
I thought it was the Majola that I stayed with at rest. Sorry, Sanele. I had a Sanele Majola who we stayed with at rest as well.
Okay, I am all right. All right, I am Sanele Majola from Mangosuthu University of Technology.
Okay, welcome.
So, yeah, I'm currently doing my interview. Yeah. So the question I have for you, Mr. Kamete, is that how do you is something of which is personal experience? How do you fully commit yourself with a person that has a child with another person? Like
I'll answer.
Yeah, he's asking.
Yeah,
For those who couldn't hear, Sanele Majola from Mangosuthu University of Technology wanted to know from Dr. Sanele Gamete, how do you commit yourself to someone who has a child by another person? It could be that he joined us late because Sanele actually married his high school sweetheart and then had a baby with her.
No, it's a good question. I know that I'm not a subject expert in that because I don't have a child outside. But thanks, Sanele, for asking. I've lived enough and I've mentored and I do coaching. So I do come across such incidences. But of course, someone is more than welcome to put their comments on the chat platform as well. I think it goes back to the issue, Sanele, of being intentional about what we are doing. If we have found this person having this baby with someone else, which I suppose you probably have been attracted to this person by something. And for me, I will think you probably have to capitalize on the fact that you have seen these good qualities from this person, despite the fact that she or he has a child outside your relationship. But if it happens that it happens while you are in the relationship with that person, it means this person doesn't feel or doesn't still want to be in the relationship. It's just that maybe there are benefits that this person, or let me use Untokozo. Untokozo is benefiting for some reason or being with me, but Untokozo doesn't like me anymore and doesn't love me anymore because she's brave enough to have someone else while we are in a relationship. So I think you just need to toughen up on that part and accept those truths the way they are. And guys, still on that topic of love and all of that, may we not, and I repeat, may we stop falling in love. There is nothing called falling in love. People decide to love. You don't fall in love. I once spoke to a client and I said to her, can you stand on top of the chair? And she did. And I said, can you fall? Can you just let your body and fall? She was like, suddenly I'm going to be hurt. And I was like, that's exactly why people are hurting. That's why people are so hurt in relationships, because they fell in love. You don't fall in love. You decide to love Untokozo. And when you decide, there is a reason why you are loving Untokozo. And love it shouldn't have to have emotions, and they shouldn't be financial gain. They shouldn't be a condition. Love should be just pure, stand alone. I don't know, Ntokozo, if I'm sorry, Sanele, if I'm answering your question.
Yes, I heard you clearly. So another question is that okay, so I've been following you. You see, I've been following you and the work that you've done. It's like even in your funeral, in your funeral that was happening in your home, you are still managed to mentor the student. How did you find your passion? Because I also once I was once a secretary for university resident, and students, they were using my good heart like to do whatever they want. They know if you go to Sanel, you'll be helped. Like I was dealing with files and also I was dealing with student issues. So I opened the door of giving them medication. So most of the time they didn't want to buy themselves the medication, they know, we have our Dr. Sanele, will be always there. And that medicine was costing, and at school I was being shouted for giving them this medicine, because it was Maplin, of which they were strong. Some of them, it helped them regarding to their period pain, some of them with headaches, and some of them, yeah.
Sorry,
So
Sanele Majola, please, can you please
Ask
wrap
your
the
question.
question? Yes,
all
because
right,
we have a few
all right,
more questions lined up.
all right. How did you find your passion?
Oh, okay. I think the issue of passion, I saw that you wanted to also speak about how do I ensure that people don't take advantage of me. I think that one is easy. You just need to set boundaries, and boundaries is not being selfish. Set boundaries, being able to say no. But the issue of passion, I think it comes from this thing that bends you within when you think about, and there's something that you can do even when you are not paid. I started mentoring people and coaching people without getting paid, and today I speak for 25 to 30,000 rand to go and speak for an hour, but I've spoken for 8 good years without getting paid such an amount. So the passion is this one thing that you feel like, you know what, I'm really loving this and I can do it even if I am not paid, even if there's no one who's watching me. I don't know. I saw Sis Togozo.
Okay,
There
yes,
was
we have a
pink.
few more questions. I would like Sanele Zuma to please come on screen and unmute yourself. He
There
is
was a
one
pinky
of,
first. There was a pinky first
there was
before
Pinky first.
Sanele.
Oh, okay. Pinky Hillman, please come on screen and unmute yourself.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, Dr. Gamete. Good evening, Togozo. My question is, how do you deal with the issue of guilt, considering I'm a single parent and the time I have to take away in terms of not spending that amount of time with my child because of my studies and my family? I'll make an example. I went to 2 funerals this year and I had to do a specific check to determine whether I go to those funerals because I don't have enough time. Full-time mom, full-time job, master's student. And I have so much guilt. I just need to understand, from other parents in the platform as well, the nature and how it's affected them and how do we deal with this, especially for our children, because it's lost time that we can't get back. Thank you.
And they grow so fast. Thank you so much for that question, Pinky. Please answer that, Dr. Sanele Kamente, and then we'll take 2 more questions.
Yes. And there are questions on the chat platform as well.
Yes.
My sister, I think it's a reality that you can't shy away. I think a clear communication with your children, with your family. I have missed funerals at home. I remember my brother was in a fatal accident and I didn't go to the funeral. You need to be very clear, not boastfully, but you need to communicate very clearly issues of finance if that's the problem, issues of what you are currently doing. I think it's very important that the people around us know what we are doing. But at the same time, this is Pinky, I think it's very also important that you set some time. And setting some time sometimes is not necessarily dedicating that Saturday that I will go with my daughter to the beach. Sometimes it is taking your daughter with you while you are doing whatever that you are doing. I think I posted a picture of them in my office recently while I was busy revamping CVs for clients here. They were busy playing in my office. There's a big couch. So sometimes I take them through with me while I'm busy, and they can enjoy the fact that they can distract me from time to time, but we also communicate that, hey guys, can you give me some space? Sometimes the reality is, Sis Pinky, you need to put some extra time. Sometimes I will leave anyone to go to bed, including my wife. I have to kiss her. I'm married to her, so which means we have to do adult stuff. Sometimes I will do those adult stuff with her, and then while she's probably asleep, sneak up and put 4 hours and come back at 4 o'clock in the morning because I need to sort of accommodate them. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sanele. And Pinky, please go on. Please don't stop. All the best for your masters. Let's take another question from Sanele Zuma. So many Saneles today. Is it because it's Dr. Sanele? Please come on screen and
I really have to be on screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You don't have to.
Thank you. All right, thanks, man. Thanks, Mabiz. I just wanted to commend you on being present, on being a father. Fatherhood is very close to me. And I think it was in 2018 when Stats SA was releasing a report informing us that in South Africa, about 70% of Black kids have absent fathers. So to see a very young man, Black, who's that passionate and very intentional about being there for the kids is something highly commendable, because we're raising a generation of angry boys with a lot of personal issues simply because of neglect. So I don't think we can take it lightly that you are present in your very, very hectic, busy schedule, but to be a father and to be there, I just wanted to thank you for that. That was just my comment. Thanks.
Okay, before you leave us, Sanele, just maybe to take this opportunity to share what the student supports units, at least for the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Sciences, is currently doing to sort of support or assist students that are currently parents. I remember, I think it was in 2020, before COVID, there was a support group. Not sure if it still exists.
Yeah, it was a student mothers group. It has been very successful. Can I just send a shout out to Shelly, our manager? She's around. Do you mind, Shelly, jumping in here?
Yeah, thank you, Sanele. And this very interesting topic. Yes, we had a successful student mothers support group. It was very important to have that space for student mothers to share their views. Sadly, we tried to have a student fathers support group that was going to be run by Mzamo Zondi, but we although people had said that they wanted to come and do this, they didn't. When we actually advertised it, nobody came. So that was quite sad because we were really hoping that we would be able to have both a student mother and a student fathers support group. But we are always there to help and support as best we can. So if people find themselves in a difficult situation, please feel free to consult with us. We have student support in all the different colleges. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was Shelly Barnsley and Sanele Zuma from the student support units. I think it's important for students, current students, to know that there is support, there is help. Maybe when Sanele was going through these processes around 2014, they hadn't been established. That's why he went through so much. However, there is support now, not to say go get a baby, but when you have it, I think maybe let's address the question from Ntobe Kozwane that actually speaks to what we're talking about now. So she says, good afternoon and special greetings to Dr. Gamete. My question is, how can you emphasize the importance of taking responsibility should a mistake of someone falling pregnant, how as a man can you ensure that you do away with the stigma as a man, that you also look after your own child, since others associated with females?
Oh, I think there's the issue of dealing with the stigma goes or aligns with the self-identity. I think owning up to what has happened also makes you realize that you can't beat yourself all the time regarding what had happened. So it also makes you wanna man up and pick the responsibility part. So can you please you repeat the last part, if I can? Okay, how as men can you ensure that you do away with the stigma? Yeah, I think it's manning up, and the issue of responsibility also is a matter of communicating. I know when you talk to people, when you say communicate, they feel like it's just everyone saying communicate. But the key here is communicating. Some people, they talk, they don't communicate, which probably is another topic for another day. The issue of how do I communicate with my partner? Because there's a difference between talking to your partner and communicating to your partner. Sometimes the issue of responsibility, some people don't own up to that because, you know, as partners, we don't communicate clearly with one another with love. And even if love is not there anymore, because some they just leave and decide to sort of like go separate ways, but we still need to be adults and talk about this. I don't know if Ntokozo, Ntokozo, I'm answering the question.
I think it sums it up. I want to get to this one in particular by Amahle Mwelase. She says, hi, Mr. Kamede. I'm happy they joined late. Hi, Kamede. I'm a Westville third year student, and I had a baby earlier this year in February, right at the beginning of the semester. And it has been so hard for me academically. I just wanted to ask, how do I explain or make my mom understand that my degree will take a bit longer? I'm so scared to even go back home.
Did Amahle say she hasn't even went back home?
It seems like she had the baby in February. She gave birth and hasn't went back home.
Okay.
She's a third year student.
I remember that as well. I was laughing with my colleagues yesterday when I told them I didn't invite my parents to my wedding because I knew they didn't approve anyway. And it was horrible. I remember when we had to introduce our daughter and the marriage, it was tense. But I even had like
you started balding.
Yes, I had like pimples, if I may call it like that, for a lack of a better word, on my head. The way I was so stressed, but it was something that had to be done. I think the more you take so much time to let this thing out, it is going to affect many parts of your life, including your academic, including raising the child as well. So your mom is not going to understand, Amahle. I want you to go to your mom knowing that she might not understand. And don't go there trying to make her understand. Go there being apologetic about what had transpired and reassure her of the mistake, if it was a mistake, that you have realized that has led you to this point in time where you now have a baby, and sincerely go and apologize. If needs be, find a relative that you can have with you to accompany you to speak to your mom. We have different parents. My father is like your, he hits even today. So you don't just go to my father and be like, hey, I think there's someone who's pregnant and all of that. So you can ask an aunt or a cousin or whosoever to help you go. And when you go there, man up and try to tell them what has transpired and the consequences, and reassure your mom that you are going to work 10 times hard because we have seen what has happened. And I do feel like Amahle, probably her mom is paying for the degree, and now she has to make mom understand that, hey, mom, you have to cough a little bit more, because even the husband that I found at university doesn't have probably much to pay for the degree that you were paying, which becomes a little bit tricky. That's why I'm saying, if needs be, find someone who can sit down with you to help you with that situation before you go to mom, because most cases, or in most cases, we just batch our parents and be like, mom, I'm pregnant, or wait until mom recognizes that you are pregnant. So find technical ways of doing it than killing our parents. Some parents have died because of us when we come and be like, boom, mom, I'm pregnant, and they have heart attack and they are gone. So be careful with that.
Oh, Dr. Saneleka, thank you so much for everything. And to Amahle, if you're still with us, I would advise that since you're still a student, you're still eligible to get counseling from our student support services. So whichever college you are from, there is a student support services division that is available to you. So maybe book a session and maybe have a sit down chat with the counselor and plan out everything. And just like Dr. Sanele just said, you need to have that at the back of your mind that you may not be forgiven. You may not be accepted. You may be thrown out. So you must have a plan B for every plan A. So I suggest you go to student counseling, reach out, and yeah, your solution is there. And then Andy Swachibangu, I'm just going to answer this one. They said, hello, Dr. Kamete, how did you and your wife reach an agreement regarding splitting responsibilities of taking care of your daughter since you were both studying? Both your studies were important. Was the parenting responsibility shared? In less than a minute, Dr. Kamete. You can respond.
She is kicking me out of here. Unfortunately, there was no negotiation in this. It was a responsibility. So I want us to kick out in our mind the issue of negotiating the responsibility. It is a responsibility. But of course, we had to understand each other. In my 1 minute that I've been given, I think the most important thing, guys, is also reminding each other that, hey, baby, do we still love each other? Whenever there are disputes, whenever you are going through whatsoever, hey, baby, do we still love each other? When he or she says yes, okay, let's deal with the issue and not deal with each other. If we still love each other, let's deal with this issue. There is an issue at hand. What do we do about it? The key is you guys still love each other. So treat each other like love buddies and then solve the problems. The issue with us, sometimes we deal with we deal with ourselves instead of dealing with the issue at hand. Make sure that I know that sometimes you get so angry that you wish to sort of like shout, and and sometimes it happens by mistake. but remind yourself to deal with the issue, not with each other.
Okay, now that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined us. Dr. Sanele, before we close, if people still want to reach out, they want to get more of your guidance and they want to know how to finish their degrees, please share with us where to find you, how to get in touch with you.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you still hear me, Dogozo.
Yes, we still hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dogozo and the team behind this lovely work for inviting me. And thank you so much for everyone who is here. I could feel and I can see that people are still interested in having this engagement. And I saw even my friends, they are here. It's so lovely to have this engagement. I wish we can carry on having this engagement. I've shared my website on the chat platform. If you can quickly go there, it's www.sanelekamede.com. If you go there, you'll find more of my resources. If you go to the shop, the online shop is very safe. You can buy my coaching programs, my vision board online courses, and many other online courses that are there, and books that I've written. There's a very important book on finishing your qualification in record time, which is my second book. It is also available there. On social media, I am Gamete Sanele in most platforms. So let's stay in touch, let's connect, and you can always WhatsApp me or call me on the 072806909 number that I've shared on the chat platform as well, where you could just book a session with me, and then we talk. Especially we are towards the end of the year. We need to do vision boards for next year. We need to plan our lives for next year. And for mentorship and coaching, there is free mentorship and there is also paid mentorship. Free, I do it through Imeke Mark Africa Youth Development, which is an organization that is in, we launched the organization recently in Kenya. So we are in 6 or 7 countries now. So that's free. And then the paid one is for individuals, where I see you on a one-on-one basis. So thank you so much, guys. I love you so much, and thanks for turning out.
Thank you, Dr. Sanele Gamete, and thank you to everyone that has joined us. We will send a video link recording of this event so you can go over whatever thing you may have missed, and we will share Dr. Sanele's contact details so that you can get in touch. And for those who are still current students at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, if you feel like you're under any pressure and there's something you need guidance in, there is the student counseling department or division. Just reach out to your college and find out how you can get into contact with your counselors. Don't suffer alone, please. There's no need. And good evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.